Let's go live now to Logan in Queensland. The opposition leader Peter Dutton is speaking to the media.
Inflation keeps going up, and under this government, people have had interest rates rise on 12 occasions. And every credible economic commentator after last Tuesday night's budget has indicated that this is a budget that puts pressure on inflation, not releases it. And unless the Reserve Bank governor can get inflation back into that bandwidth, she's not going to reduce interest rates anytime soon. I want rates to come down as quickly as possible, which is why you need to elect a coalition government at the next election. Interest rates are always lower under a coalition government than they are under a Labor government. Historically, that's been the case, and certainly it's the case right now. I want to make sure that we can get our country back on track. I want to help families and make sure that we have an environment that sees people employed and where they've got meaningful jobs that lead to home ownership. I don't want to see people, wherever possible, going into retirement without owning at least a fair slab of their own home, and making sure that they've got a retirement that can give them a dignity and help them provide a very significant asset to their children when they pass away. These aren't huge asks. I think most Australians would expect their government to deliver it, but unfortunately, over the course of the last three budgets, we've seen decisions that the government's made which have made it harder. For example, in relation to migration, the Prime Minister is bringing in 1.67 million people over 5 years. That's bigger than the population of Adelaide. Now, there's no planning being done around infrastructure. In fact, this government took money away from infrastructure. And there's nothing to provide support to first home buyers or to increase supply in the government's housing policy. Our policy of making sure that you can bring migration numbers back so that Australians can get into homes means that we create or free up 40,000 homes in the first year and over 100,000 homes over the course of the policy. And I believe that that is what Australians want. We've been around the country working day and night over the last 2 years. We've listened to Australians and we've responded accordingly. People are concerned about housing, and people are worried about how they're going to save a deposit. They're worried about how they can even find rental accommodation. And in our country at the moment, we've got way too many people living in cars, in tents, and that is not something that we should accept in this country. We also made an announcement last Thursday night that we want to put about $400 million into general practice because we want more doctors, more GPs out in the suburbs and out in regional areas. If we do that, it means that we can reduce the number of presentations to emergency departments. It means that we can help elderly people either through home visits or being able to more easily access a GP, and putting that money into general practice and into health will help increase the bulk billing rates, because bulk billing under this government has dropped by 11 percentage points, much lower than when the coalition was in government, and we need to make sure that we make that investment into health. I'm very happy to take any questions.
The economy, the Treasurer is claiming it's going to be in the billions.
Well, again, I mean, if the Treasurer is saying that the economy can only function with migration numbers at an historic high, and that the price of that is people not being able to find a home, then I don't sign up to Jim Chalmers' form of voodoo economics. Let's be very clear about it. I believe very strongly that there is enormous economic growth in what we've proposed, because Australians are much wealthier if they're able to buy their own home and see the price of that home appreciate over time. As we know, there are millions of Australians at the moment who are struggling to get into homes, whether it's rental accommodation or homes that they want to purchase. And ultimately, that is a loss of billions of dollars worth of wealth in their own individual circumstances collectively. And I believe very strongly that we've got a policy which is well calibrated. It'll see growth continue. But you've got a Treasurer at the moment who's willing to sacrifice homes for Australians because he's got a migration program to prop up a failed budget.